Welcome everyone to this special episode of Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast LAMP. And this is a special podcast that is really devised in order for us to really understand leaders. I'm talking about understanding leaders, seeing their leadership journey, their leadership development journey, all the steps that they have taken to get them to where they are now, and also how mentorship has influenced them in a very positive way. And I believe when you listen to these leadership conversations, you're going to learn a lot about leadership because leadership are not only taught, they are also caught. With me today is a friend of mine, and that just like we just get together of recent, we just keep going and keep going and keep going. I've heard a lot about him, and you will understand after listening to him that you don't have to eat a whole cow to know a good meat. Welcome with me, Mike Lyles. How are you, sir?
Very well, Michael. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be part of
Yeah, we're
this.
so excited to have you, sir. So tell us a little bit about yourself, sir. Yeah.
So, I'm an old IT guy. I've been doing IT for over 32 years. Probably some
Yeah.
listeners were not even born when I started,
Woo.
but it's been a good journey. I'm an old geek who worked in IT, worked for
Mm,
some really large Fortune 50 companies through the years. Some of which you would know the names of if I told you who they were. And I really got into speaking and training for
mm,
software and software testing in about 2011.
mm,
And I said, "This is, man, I just love it." If you'd have met me in high school, people didn't think I was somebody who would stand in front of a crowd of people. I was very shy and very
mm,
introverted, so to speak, in front of a crowd. But lots of different things in my life just prepared me to be a speaker, and so I started speaking at events and started traveling the world, went to 15 countries, spoken hundreds of events.
mm,
And then this John Maxwell team popped back up in my on my Facebook. And it had been something I had looked at in about 2011 or 2012 when they started the team.
mm,
And so I said, hey, maybe it's time to do it. So this was May 2021. I joined, got into certification program with John Maxwell and the company there and and then started going to conferences, and just really being part of this amazing company and products that John had out
mm,
there for 50,000 coaches.
mm.
But I was in the right place. It's a long story. We won't go into that, but
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
told you about it. But I had a lot of dots connect in the right way.
Mm,
Steve Jobs used to say you don't connect the dots forward, you connect them backwards. And so I
mm,
looked and I had an opportunity to be in the right place to become the head of IT at Maxwell Leadership here and to work for John's company that he
mm,
founded and started that in April of 2022, and I've been there now for
mm.
3.5 years, and it's the best job in the world. It's
Wow.
an
Wow.
opportunity to work with great leaders and people who are making a difference in the world. I've worked for
Mm,
companies that were home improvement companies and retail companies that provide services and products to people, but
mm.
to work for Maxwell Leadership is an opportunity to help people change the world. And that's
Wow.
what's most
Wow.
important.
Wow. That's awesome. You know what, Mike? I just really one thing about you is just like, there's some people that you just meet, you just forget them. That did I really meet anybody today? But
Right.
there's some people that they make a mark on your life, and I learn a lot from you. And just for you to know, the last time I met you, there's so many things I learned from you that I'm still processing, and we shared a lot. But today we want to really focus on leading without a title,
Yeah.
leading without a title, and it's so important because uh most importantly, when you meet people and people will just think that, well, I'm not a leader. They think that leadership is a label, and the label only
Hmm.
applies to you when you have a position, and not knowing that you can lead without a title. You are on mute. Yeah, I just wanted you already mute. Okay, yeah. So, but the thing about leadership is just like, and it's not about the title that you have. So I mean, you have had, I mean, as a leader in yourself, you've had different kind of opportunities to lead. Now
Yes.
you have the privilege of not just working with great leaders, but seeing great leaders in action. So, first of all, I want us to just, before we get into that topic, and share with us at what point in your life did you become aware of your leadership potential, that you just, a lot of times, I mean, that awareness, some people it happens early, some people it's something that they just, it's
Yeah.
just came maybe when they are grown. So at what point did you realize, did you become aware? Because Dr. John Maxwell said something. He said when he wrote the book Developing the Leader Within You, that that was when people realized that, wow, so I have a leader within me, that before that people always say that, well, I didn't win the lottery and some people didn't won the lottery, that they are the leaders, but we have to be the followers.
That's right.
So tell us your own experience. At what point did you become aware of that leadership
Yeah.
potential that God has put in you?
So my mom will say that she saw it even when I was really young. Like when I was 5 years old, I would be around other kids and I would have kind of a leadership ability in front of kids. I don't know if that's true or not. I felt like I was very shy and introverted younger. But I feel like in my high school years and my early college years, I was becoming I was the president of our honors society in college when I
Mm,
started there. And the one of the things that I really loved about that was that really got me out of my shell to just stand in front of people and really try to make a difference with the organization that I was working with. So I think I felt it through the years, but
mm,
I really felt like I was in um, really getting a leadership position,
mm,
and it was a position and that, but it helped me to learn that other
mm,
people on my team could be leaders,
mm,
that was in this organization with me that weren't, they didn't have to be the president or the vice president or secretary treasurer or whatever of the club. Anybody could lead within that group, and that's one of the things we tried to instill with people.
mm,
And then I
mm,
saw that when I had known that in sixth grade I wanted to be a developer, a software developer, and I thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life, right? I
mm,
went home that one day in sixth grade and told my mom I love computers. I want to be a developer, software developer forever.
mm,
Now I did become one, went to school and got the degree and got out and did that for many years, but I found as recent as 5 years into my career, that I really loved leading people more than I loved doing the actual hands-on by myself. And so
mm,
they put me as a team lead. Didn't have
mm,
a title yet. I didn't have a project manager or a manager position. Didn't have people
mm,
reporting to me, but I got to work with other people who were working in the same space as me that was taking my leadership advice. And that really just blew it up for me. And then
wow.
further into my career, when I moved into a director position and I had managers working for me, I know we're not talking about position here, but what I love, really love, is helping other people who are leading people or learning to be leaders, be great leaders, with or without the title. Because there's nothing like giving someone that experience, and
Mm,
saying, this is what I've learned, and here's the things that I've learned along the way, and here's
mm,
turns I would not take in your life if you don't
mm.
want to have the same failures as me, right? So I think
Wow.
it's been a really good thing.
Wow, that's awesome. Now we and the first question that I really was asking is more of the awareness of your leadership potential.
Yeah.
But the next question I want to ask is, now after awareness, the next thing that really comes is development. So now when you became aware of that, oh yeah, even though your mom was the first person that get your attention to that, so at what point did you begin to intentionally develop that potential? Because it's possible for you to become aware that, oh, there's something in me, but when did you start making that,
Yes.
that intentionality about
Oh,
developing that leader within you?
that's a beautiful question. I'd like to say that I did it ever since I was in high school and college, and I was just in charge and in control. That wasn't the case. I feel like that around 2000, which was 25
Mm,
years ago. It sounds hard to believe that we started 2000 25 years ago. But around 2000, I had moved into a position with a company, was still not a manager and not a director at that time. But I'd moved into a position to where I was working for a guy who was reading a lot of books by
Mm,
John Maxwell, Stephen
mm,
Covey, Zig Ziglar, some of the
mm,
real big names out there that just really were making a major difference in business and leadership. And started reading their books, and this guy started coaching me. Just my one-on-ones with him were more about him coaching me on leadership than it was
mm,
him telling me what are your job responsibilities. And he was smart because he realized that he could make me a great leader, which would eventually make me a great manager if I
mm,
did the things right and learn how to be an influential leader. So,
mm,
um, I'll never forget him for doing that,
mm,
and I give him credit for helping me,
mm,
25 years ago, early in my career, in
mm.
a new position that I'd moved into, to really learn um, what to read, what people to talk to, and it's, you never realize if you give somebody advice, you know, we're Maxwell coaches, right? So we're going to say to
Yeah.
everybody, read John Maxwell. And everywhere I go, I ask people, do you know John Maxwell? And if people don't raise their hand, I'm like, how do you not know John Maxwell? But I mean, we've just been blessed to have had him in our lives for
Yeah.
all of my
Yeah.
life, man. My mom, she used to listen to John when he started, and so she
Mm,
knew John from 50 years ago. And so to answer you directly, I say I think the thing that helped me was having somebody there that just helped
mm,
me look at here's the books that will help you, here's the things, and he
mm.
got me really excited about reading. I love The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. That's one of the best books I've ever read in my
Wow. Yeah.
life.
Stephen Covey.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
Mm,
amazing.
mm.
Zig Ziglar, I got to see a lot of his events that he was doing when he was alive and just loved his message. And then John, of course, one of the biggest books I read of John's around that time frame that I started really getting into John's books was The 360-Degree Leader, which talks
Wow.
about
That's a good book.
you
Yeah.
can lead up, but you can lead down, you can lead
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah.
And it really
Mm.
changed my perception of leadership to get that book in my head.
Wow, wow. In fact, the book you talk about, the 360 leader, and it's a beautiful book,
Yes.
and the good part of it is just really much in sync with what we're talking about. Now we've dealt with your how you became aware of your leadership potential, and then one key factor that I'm looking at with your story, because men's secrets are in their stories. About you saw someone in the year 2000 and modeling. That's like a mentorship. You saw the person reading and even teaching you about that. And that now, after you saw that person doing it, so you now started making the same push, buying the books, and going to tell us what is it like after that experience that you saw a leader, sharing what he's learning, and you saw him
Yeah.
reading the books, all this exposure to all these authors. Then what step did you begin to take to intentionally develop and invest in yourself?
Oh yeah, in 2000 we didn't have ebooks and audiobooks. I mean, they were out there, but you would have to buy CDs or disc
Yep.
or cassettes. I can't remember when all that became popular, but it definitely wasn't easy to just go get an audiobook like it is today or
Yeah.
go get an ebook and pull it down quickly. So I spent a lot of times going to bookstores,
Mm,
spending, either used bookstores or new bookstores and really
mm,
studying what is the great leadership books that are out there, right? You saw
mm,
Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and there were other people that were really starting to stand out with John and others, and it just became really inspiring for me to say, hey, look, um, I'm going to start reading a book, a month. Now, I know,
mm.
Michael, you read like 11 a day,
Oh,
so I can't keep up with that. But I'm trying to be like you and Chris Robinson from Maxwell Leadership. You guys read like crazy. I'm not there. I'm not a fast reader, but I am someone who I felt like the more you dedicate to
yeah.
your personal self, is John always talks about, you gotta start with yourself and build yourself from
Yeah.
the inside out. So I
Mm,
think that was the one thing is I really invested a lot of time in learning the teachings of these folks and then
mm.
realizing how important it was to build leadership into your world. And
Wow.
and that was
Wow.
when John, John's favorite phrase, and he's true, when he says it is leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
And when you realize the power, because when I combined that information that I got from John
Mm.
with Zig Ziglar talking about your circle of influence and your circle of
Yes.
concern, and how that if you get your circle of concern and things you want to change, but you don't have influence in, right? And you got your circle of control, and it's a lot smaller than your influence and your concern. But the more you can build your influence, the more powerful you're going to be as a leader, because you can
Mm.
actually influence things that you don't actually own yourself as control. And
Mm.
that's true leadership, is when you can now work with other people and really influence them.
Wow, that's awesome. Oh, Mike. So in fact, I just love this conversation we having. It's so great. Now we're gonna get this to leading without a title. We want to talk about that,
Yeah.
and um what was your experience like? And when we talk about leadership, and so what
You know,
have
I
you
always
seen? Yeah.
I always tell people, I did a talk on this at an event about a month or two ago. And one of the things I asked the people in the room was, think of somebody in your organization or in your neighborhood, if you're not working in a company right now, or just someone that you see daily who inspires you, but they're not your boss, And so if
Mm,
you're working in an office, or you're working with other people, or you're working in your church or your community, think about somebody who you feel like inspires you, but they're not your, that you don't report to them, and you follow them, right? I mean, people follow their ministers in church, and they don't report to them, and people follow their some other people in an organization who may not be their direct boss or their direct
mm,
report. And that's where you get into that influence, where you understand that people can lead you without being your manager. And so what I try to inspire people to think about is, what kind of things can you do to do those same things? Because the more you can build your influence and build your engagement with other people, the stronger you're going to be as a leader. um, and then titles and roles and things like that they're gonna come. But I've seen so many people. I tell a lot of people that I work with through the year. I've had thousands of people work for me through these 30 years, and I can always spot the lead, the strong leader in the group. When you get in a group of people and you start doing things together, you'll see the one person just kind of rise, and it never fails. There's always at least one in that group. Sometimes there's more, but a lot of times there'll be one, at least one in that group that'll stand up and rise to the challenge, right? You don't even have to ask for volunteers. You already see this person standing up saying, I'll take it. Tell me what I can do to help you do this, right? You and I do a lot of coaching and speaking with people. And
mm,
what I find is, you get in a room full of people and you're doing a mastermind, or you're doing coaching with a group of people, you'll see that one person that will stand out. And we can be blessed sometimes and have a whole room full of great leaders, but
mm,
usually there's one person that just really starts showing that. And what I look for when I see that person is, they take initiative. They take on things that's really not theirs to take on sometimes. They're
mm.
willing to take the challenge.
Yeah.
If you say, I need one volunteer, they'll quickly raise their hand.
Mm,
Um, and that's some of the things I did in my job through the years. Is I joined three different groups that was really not the same group that I was in as I moved through my career. And the way I did that was, I would say, okay, we're going to start this new group in the company. I'd raise my hand and say, I'd love to go start working in that group and learn what that group's doing, so I can, expand my skill set. So I think it's good to do that if
mm,
you're working with other people. And then the other thing that I tell folks, and stop me anywhere here, but I I'm real big on it. There's a book written by a guy named Rick Warren called The
Recon, yeah.
Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah.
Um, that first sentence in that book's the most powerful sentence you'll ever read, and it says, "It's not about you." And I think when people start realizing there's more to life than just, what you do every day at work, or what you see on social media every day, or what little task you do, but you can have a significance and have a purpose in what you do in life, and where you're planning to take that. And that there's, regardless of your religious or spiritual beliefs, it's just, what are you going to do while you're here, right? And
Mm.
um, John says, and I keep quoting John, and it's hard not to when you've worked for John and you're a coach with
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
But I love his quote around, once you've tasted significance,
Mm.
success will never
Look.
satisfy you.
Yeah.
I went on a transformation trip with John to the Dominican Republic in 2021, And we went there with 200 coaches and we trained over 27,000 people in that country on how to be leaders and to do values-based transformation tables in their country.
Mm,
And it changed me. It changed my whole attitude on how, you know, life is, right? Because you got to see people who are hungry, and people don't realize how hungry they are to learn leadership values and just values-based principles until you start doing it around a table. And I love the way
mm.
that they've done that with this Change Your World, and John did the Change Your World book.
Yeah.
Um, but I love that transformation trip that I went on because it helped me to see that there's more to life than just success, right? John will
Mm.
even say, if you focus on significance, success will follow later. It
Yes.
may not be
Yeah.
today. You might be the most famous person in the world, but if you can make a difference in the lives of other people by being a great leader, a great influencer, then you're doing big things, right? I'd rather be remembered by some things that I did to help people grow and help people to be happy in this life than how many hours I worked, in my career.
Wow.
So,
Wow. That's awesome.
yeah.
And I mean, listening to you about leading without a title is one thing I'm hearing is all about influence.
Yes.
And that's what leading without a title is all about. It's not about your position, and you can be, and I mean, you don't have to have a position to lead without title. And the good news about this is there are so many opportunity to lead, and
Yeah.
having a title is not it's not the only way, and even when you have the title and you don't have the qualities it takes to lead, the title even become a liability, so, and that's why we've seen a lot of people find themselves in leadership position, and they got a position, like someone said, the boss got the title, the leader got the people. So yeah, and the question is this: what do you want? Do you want the title or do you want the people?
That's
Listen,
right.
the title can't get anything done for you,
Yes.
but leadership is the heart of getting things done through people. So if
Yes.
you want to get things done through people, then you need to learn to lead without a title. So, and can you just and share with us, based from your own experience, from your own practical life situation, and what is required to lead without a title? Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I think the one of the things when you're comparing managers and leaders, so like you said, the manager's got the title. So like people follow you because they have to lots of times, right? And they're assigning work and they're focused on task and they're given that authority to lead the team. But a leader's got to learn that they're influential and that they've got to inspire action to the team. And the team has to feel like, hey, I want to work with you. And so if you want to lead without a title, I it's going to be ironic. But and stop me if I'm going too far into every time I speak, I say John's name, but that's who I am, right? He's become part of my DNA. We talk
Mm,
about that as Maxwell coaches. We have Maxwell DNA. But one of the things I'll say to folks is I recently did a talk around um, the ways that I have used John's principles to help me
mm,
to to be a better leader.
mm,
There's three books that I suggest to everybody, which is number one is the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth,
mm.
which talks about you got to help yourself. And right, John talks about how that you're not going to change yourself until you change something you do every day.
Yeah.
So I think, and I'll touch on these and I'll give you my thoughts on it, not his. But I think we as people have to understand that if you want to be a good leader, you've got to start with yourself, right? I can't
Yes.
show you how to ride a bike if I've never ridden a bike, right?
Mm,
And I can't be great at what I do unless I do it. I remember someone saying, it might have been John, but it was someone talking about Gandhi. And when Gandhi was alive, he had people, this lady walked up and brought her son and
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
make him stop eating sugar, tell him to
Yeah.
stop eating sugar. And Gandhi's like, come back next week. And she brought him back the next week and he said, okay, stop eating sugar. She goes, why did you not tell him that 2 weeks ago or a week ago when
Mm,
we were here? He said, because last week I was eating sugar. So,
mm,
he realized he had to fix himself first. And so I
mm.
think for us to be influential and us to help other people, we've got to learn to be good for ourselves. And so if we want people to grow with us and we want to lead people into success, we have to focus on being good at ourselves first as well. I think the other book that I always reference with John is Everyone Communicates If You Connect, which talks about how to be a great communicator, how to
Yeah.
engage with people. I
Mm,
use this at drive-through windows. I use it at grocery stores. I use it anytime I'm talking to doctors or anywhere. I find that it's the most amazing tactic and process to engage with people and find common ground and make people communicate with you. I'll be at a restaurant and I'll see someone, you can tell that this server is not having a good day and they're not going to work well with me. And I can talk. I say, man, it's been a tough day, right? If you had a tough day, because I've had a tough day, it's been a long day.
mm,
And once you can relate with them on the same level, that
common
changes
ground.
their whole demeanor, right? They realize they're not alone. And
Yeah.
so I think that builds a good communication. So if you want to be a great leader, and somebody out there listening might be saying, well, I'm very introverted. I'm not a person that's going to talk. That's fine. You can still talk to people. You don't have to be, get up and dance around the room with them. But I think if you can communicate with people, even at an introverted level, but if you can communicate and talk with people, it's going to build your influence with people if you can engage. And then the very last one, and this is the one I was kind of landing on, is if you want to build your leadership experience without management, it's going to sound a little contradictory, but my favorite book is The Five Levels of Leadership by John, where he talks about, you
Yeah.
know, you got five levels. The first one is position, the second one is permission, the third one is production, the fourth one is people development, and then you've
Yeah.
got pinnacle at five.
Mm,
The position one is where we all start, and
mm,
people will follow you because they have to. And if
mm,
you want to be a great leader, you've got to build your influence to the point where people follow you with permission because they want to, not because they
mm,
have to. And
mm,
when you can move out of that position to permission level, then you've made an impact that, and you're going to see your personal life, your career, your impact
mm,
with other people really skyrocket just by understanding how to get to that permission level with people. And then when you start helping other people and you get into production and people development, that's a big deal too. But if I had to say just read one book, I'd look at the five levels of leadership. And what I say to everybody I talk to, that book is not just for management people. I mean, it works great for management people because, management people can say, how can but I think it helps anybody think about how do I want to be a great leader and what things can I do. So again, my advice would be um, always feel like that you have a voice when you're working with people and talking with people. Because I think too many times people are scared to speak up. If you're in a
mm,
group environment with other people, you're like, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and that's okay.
mm, mm.
You don't necessarily have to be.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So
Yeah. Mm,
I think it's okay for you to speak up and just let people hear your voice. And don't be
mm.
afraid to do that.
Wow. 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 You listen to me. You just took us to you took us to cloud nine, and I tell you, it's like we about to camp here right now. And I just love this the way you just, it kind of just put those books together. You talk about 15 laws of growth, which is a classical, which
Yes.
something that they have called the Bible of
Yes.
growth. I know. I mean,
Sure is.
that book is such a classic one.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, I read that book for the first time. I read it within 15 days, one chapter per day.
Hmm.
It was a challenge for me. And I did a mastermind on that book. I have 12 different groups. So have the opportunity of going through it as many times, get down to it. And what came out of it is I started a group called Thinkers Highland. When John began to talk about quotes, how he incubates on quote, he thinks on quote. And the Thinkers
Yeah.
Island was founded June 21st. Guess what? That was more than 5 years now. We got more than 260 professionals all over the world. We got a lot of
There you go.
professors, PhDs. I mean, great folks. And in that group, I shared quotes with them every day. For instance, today I dropped 10 inspiring quotes. And out of that, I've written a book on quote, insightful quotes. So what I'm sharing with you is that book is so powerful. So in
Oh
case
yeah.
you listen to me, You are here to read The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by Dr. John Maxwell. I want to
Absolutely.
encourage you to go and get that book.
It'll
It's
change your
going to
life.
change your life. It's a very powerful
I
book.
would, I would tell you, it's when you said it, it made me think. So when I started as a Maxwell coach in 2021, I was not working for Maxwell Leadership. I was working for a different company. I had 25 people working for me, and I said, "Hey, the first group I want to do a mastermind with is my team." So I
Yeah.
split that team up into two groups of 12 and 13, and I did a mastermind group with that team. As I finished that book with them, three people left the company because they didn't want to do that job anymore. They knew what they wanted. They found their why. They
Hmm.
figured out what they wanted to do. Now, my boss wasn't happy with me. I was pleased that these, and
Why
I
did you do
hated,
that?
yeah. So I hated that these people left me as well because they were great people, but they found their purpose, right? They found,
Hmm.
and that book will help you do that because it helps you figure out what do I really want to do? What do I want to
Hmm.
grow on every day? And I had one guy who was like, I don't want to be an IT guy anymore. I want to work in the medical field. And that opened their eyes. And so I say
Hmm.
to you, I agree with you, Michael. I think people that read this book it changes everybody. It
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
life-changing book.
Yeah, it's and you're so right about that. The 15 invaluable laws of growth. And another book you also talk about that was such a great book is Everyone Communicate, Few Connect.
Yes.
It's a classical, and I'll call that a foundation of communication. It's such a
Yeah.
very great book. In fact, I have the audio CDs in my
Yes.
car when I'm going somewhere to speak. I like to listen to it.
That's right.
It's such a very great book. Yeah. So we want to wrap up right now. Like I said, we can keep on going and keep on going.
Yeah.
We've been talking about leading without a title. So, um, what will be your advice for someone that is listening to us right now? That I get you, and thank you for all those things that you're sharing, and I now realize that I can lead without a title. I don't need a title to be a leader, and so one of the things that you really talked about that I really enjoyed, there's all the things that you talk about. I really enjoyed all of them, but one of the things that stood out, especially with respect to what we're talking about, is the 5 levels of leadership. And the first level is leading by position, and I like I mean that you just hit it up, that people follow you because they have to, because you have
They
the
have to.
position.
Yes.
And then the second one, leading by permission. People follow you because they want to. And the third one, leading by production. People
Yes.
follow you because of the results that you have gotten for your organization. And the fourth level, people development level, people follow you because of what you've done for them.
For them.
And the
Yes.
last one, the pinnacle, people follow you because of who you are, and that's based on respect. So
Yes.
this 5 levels is so important, and you also mentioned that book too, and it's a very great book. 5 levels.
So
I
good.
have the book, Five
Yes.
Levels of Leadership, and I've taught that principle several times. Now, in closing, what can someone do every day? No, because anyone can start it. Oh, they got it right now. Yes. And what can you just suggest that someone can do every day and to be a leader without a title?
So I would say, and I'll show you this. This is my book. The drive-through is not always faster.
Hmm.
Um, in one of the chapters in my book is called "Do What You Said You Would Do," and I
Hmm.
think with influence and leadership, you have to have accountability. And I think
Hmm.
the one thing that I discuss in one of the chapters is this. I say, um, when you make a list of things, everybody uses lists, right? A lot of times people will have to-do lists or they'll have task lists. But if you want to have a do what you said you would do list, which is a DWYWSD list, right? That list needs to have a date. So if I say to you, "Hey, I'm going to do this for you next Friday. I'll have it ready for you next Friday." I'm going to write that down. I'm going to have that task, and then I'm going to put who I'm going to be accountable to, which is you, and then I'm going to put the date next Friday that I'm going to do it. So
Hmm.
that date makes it real because if I just say, "Hey, I'm going to wash my car, I'm going to mow the yard, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this at work, I'm going to do this," you might get this done on time, but you don't have a
Hmm.
date, so you're not chasing
Hmm.
the goal. So I
Hmm.
would say to everybody, if you get into the habit, even if it's I got to get groceries this week, make sure what day of the week is it going to be, right? So put real dates on those tasks and then make sure you meet or exceed delivery of that. So if I say to you, I'm going to have something to you by next Friday, I put that date down. I may deliver it on Wednesday or Thursday. But
Hmm.
you start building credibility with everybody, and that builds your influence. If you're known as somebody who can be depended on and they get
Hmm.
things done and they always deliver what they promise they're going to do, because that's where you talk about there's 5 levels moving from level 1 to level 2.
Yep.
People will start giving you permission to lead them
Hmm.
when they realize that you're not just using your position or I'm the leader of the group here. Everybody listen, you can become an influential leader if you build that credibility. So that's the one thing I
Hmm.
would say. It changed my whole life. I
Hmm.
used to always keep lists. I keep a list of every single thing I do. If I'm going on a trip, I'm getting ready to go to a Maxwell event in a couple of weeks, I will make a whole list of all the things I need to take with me, right? But
Hmm.
if I'm doing certain things, I want to know exactly when I'm going to have these things done. And so I
Hmm.
moved from just having lists to having
Hmm.
real actionable dated lists. And so
Wow.
I challenge people
Wow.
to do it. It sounds so simple, but it's
Hmm.
not so simple because it requires you to make a commitment to yourself and the people that you're
Hmm.
around, that you're
Hmm.
really going to do that. So that puts the
Wow.
pressure on you to get it done. If I just
Wow.
say, I'm going to send you an email someday and you're like, okay, who knows how many months it'll be. But if I say I'm
Hmm.
going to send it to you by next Friday, then you should expect you're going to get it from me. So you build credibility.
Wow. I love what you said. I'm going to summarize what you said this way. Is all about follow through, you know.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, it's just following through, and what you said is so true. There's another friend of mine in Maxwell Leadership Coach. I spoke to her today. So after our conversation, and she sent me a message, do you still read your 10 books every day? I said, yes.
That's right. So you've set the reputation.
Because people
They
doesn't
expect
care
that.
about what you say. What they care about is, are you following through? Because
That's right.
if you don't follow through, you can't be you can be judged based on your intention. You will be judged based on your reputation, and your reputation is your reputation.
That's
So
right.
she
That's
want to be
right.
sure that, oh, is this person credible? And I told her, I said, even last week I went to Fort Worth, Texas for a conference. I was there for a week. I took all my books with me. I'm going to Orlando in 2 weeks. I'm going to take all my books with me all
That's right.
through the conference, Maxwell Leadership Conference. I always maintain my schedule to wake up and read. So,
Yes.
and that give, in fact, that's why when I wrote my new book, my latest book that I just wrote, and that was what it's all
I
about.
love it. I love
Leader,
it.
lead yourself. It is talking about unlocking your power with personal leadership. And this is why leading without a title is all about personal leadership. Because if you can lead yourself first, you can lead others. You can't lead tomorrow if you are not living purposefully today. So it's been a great time. And, I don't do this every time. You're one of the person on this podcast that I'm saying we're going to have a 2.0.
There you go. I'm ready for
Tell you,
that.
because I just thought that we just got started, but we're going to close this thing up. But to be real with you, Mike, you have served us well today. And like I said, it's all about you, of who you are, and it's been great, and it's as if I've known you all my life. And what's your closing comment for leading without a title? Yeah.
Ah, wow. I just think um when you get to the point where you're doing things for people without the expectation of them doing something back for you, you'll
Hmm.
make a difference in the lives of others. As Zig Ziglar used to say, and I was looking for his quote I had online here, but you can have everything in life you want if you
Yeah.
just help enough other people get what they want.
You
And
won.
you chase that in your life. And if you do that, you're going to make a difference. And everything that you want in life is going to come to you if you help other people. Now, don't do it with that expectation. Do it
Hmm.
with a giving heart and and an influential leadership heart. But you will find that things get so much better for you if you're out to help other people and do it with a good heart.
Wow, that's awesome. And with that, we're gonna sign off on this episode of Leadership Advancement Mentorship Podcast. But listen, it's not all about listening to this, it's not about hearing this, but we want to ensure that application is what we bring about the transformation, because information itself doesn't change people. Les Brown said, if information can change people, he said everybody will be skinny, rich, and happy.
Yep.
But we know that information alone doesn't place people. We want to encourage you to put this thing into practice, and you can lead without a title. So, till next time, we bring another great leader your way. Don't forget, leading without a title is something everyone can do because leadership is for everyone. I'll see you next time. Thank